Come on, Charles. That's a great shot. On the stick. On the stick. On away, baby.
Well, I don't know whether you can consider them bad breaks or not, Jerry. I 3-putted 14, which was purely my fault. The next hole, 15, I thought I hit a good tee shot. The 15th hole is kind of a dogleg right, par 5. And the corner of the water sticks out, and there's a little tree there. And I tried to knock it right over the tree, and I hit it right over the tree, but it just didn't carry. And then I made 6 there, which is really disaster when you make 6 on a par 5, playing with these guys out here because they're, you know, expect to birdie the par 5s. And the next hole, 16, I hit a bad drive that hit a tree and bounced back towards the tree, which left me a very long shot over the water. And I hit the shot right, but I just did not use the right club. It hit the top and bounced right back in the water.
As far as my play tee to green today, I think I played better. I drove the ball a little better, and on the whole, I hit my irons a little better, and I putted real well today. No question about it. Yesterday I holed a couple of putts that were really the kind that you never expect to hole, and I holed a bunker shot. But today I hold some good putts today, and I 2-putted from some real tough positions. So I'd have to say that my putting again was my strong suit.
Arnie, were you pleased today with the round?
Not particularly, Vern.
I heard you say something about in the same old rut again. What particularly displeased you?
Well, I was going reasonably well. I was 1 under a couple times and then let it slip away. And finished bogeying the 16th, or the 15th, the par 5. And missed a little birdie putt at the 16th and 3-putted 17 to shoot 71, which could have been 68 very easily, and that's what I meant. It just it gets a little annoying to finish that way.
Up until very recently, this country has had a significant technological advantage over its foreign competition. We now find ourselves in a situation where that technological advantage is no longer as obvious as it has been. We find ourselves in some industries where we have enjoyed a significant technological advantage, in fact, behind. We find ourselves in a position where the one international competitive weapon that we had is rapidly being taken away from us. Now, the point is, what policy decisions need to be made now by business, by labor, by government to recapture the initiative in foreign competition. And this is just one area.
I can further assure the people of this office, while I am sheriff, will never buckle under to those revolutionary groups in our community who are trying to destroy law enforcement. These elements have failed to succeed in other parts of the country, and I do not intend to give them any aid and comfort in Dallas County. Constructive criticism will always be welcomed by my office, and when found to be consistent with good law enforcement, will be placed into effect.
I, of course, in the beginning was very interested in seeing the Vietnamization program of the president succeed and de-escalate the war and get out. I wanted us to get out at a time when the South Vietnamese were able to protect themselves and to maintain the integrity of that government, but it seems to me that that the war has been, the prolongation of the war, even this administration, has gone too far. I still think they ought to end the war or get out. But the problem is you can't get out unless you end the war, because the North Vietnamese will not let you get out.
Fantastic putting. No, I did putt well, Jerry. I haven't figured out how many putts I had, but I putted very well. I didn't miss any real short putts, you know, like 4 or 5 feet, and I made several putts from 10 to 15 feet, and one long one of about 40 feet, so I putted very well.
Is putting in a fantastic form come and go? You've had it for a while, haven't you?
Well, normally I consider myself a much better than average putter. I think everybody out here gets on streaks of putting at times where they just have an overabundance of confidence. They feel like they can, you know, make any putt that's reasonable that they come up to. And whenever they do, well, they tend to score pretty well.
'68 and '69 is not a bad first 2 rounds here, Bob.
I'm enjoying them very much so far, thank you.
Describe your good moments out there today.
Well, the real good ones when you make a putt, and the bad ones are when you miss, I guess.
Well, the game is absolutely fantastic. It's just, if I can just make any putts in the next couple of days, you know. I didn't think I putted off so well today. I missed a tremendous amount of putts, I think, inside of 10 feet. Some, you know, I would say around 15 feet, which these greens are so good here that you should make some 15-footers, but I didn't like the way I putted. I had 2 birdies, 2 bogeys, and I finished with a 70 today, so it's still anybody's ball game. 36 holes to go.
The headline in the extra edition of the North Texas Daily reads, NT gets president. Calvin Nolan, former vice chancellor at Texas Christian University, was named as the university's 10th president this morning. Jitter, as he is called by his friends, was presented to the university at mid-morning ceremonies by board chairman A.M. Willis. In accepting the position, Nolan talked about the potential of North Texas.
Anyone who will look must arrive at the same conclusion that I have, and that is that North Texas State University probably has the greatest potential today for good of any university in our state and perhaps beyond. Here is a university with a strong tradition of the past, the gathered capability of the future, resting in a town with another fine institution and sitting at the apex of the most golden triangle in our great state. It would be a shame if we became anything less than one of the leaders in this state in a place known for its outstanding teaching experience.
Nolan wouldn't speculate as to his successor at Texas Christian University. It's been a long dry spell at North Texas. The office of the president has been without a master now for almost a year. But beginning August 1st, when Nolan takes over, the Board of Regents believes they have a stern taskmaster at the helm, one who isn't afraid to carry the ball and doesn't like it when he doesn't score. Jerry Park, Channel 8 News on the Move, North Texas State University, Denton.
The umbrellas have been broken out here at the Byron Nelson Golf Tournament at Preston Trails Club, and Homerdale, I can barely see you from the rain that is falling on my glasses. I guess this makes you eligible for the Golden Squid Award for the second day in a row. This is a soggy Jerry Haynes from the putting green at the Byron Nelson Golf Classic.
Right now? Is it turned on? Hello, Vern. How are you? Missed you today. Saw you yesterday.
Persons of all races, creeds, and colors have registered their displeasure, and many have indicated their desire to join with us on Sunday, May 9th, and in any other subsequent action that might be taken to indicate their displeasure at the blatantly discriminatory action of the council on last Monday. Thank you.
Mr. Norman, it's been suggested by some members of the council that the threat of an impending suit was the reason they didn't vote for George Allen for Mayor Pro Tem, rather than any racial slight. Would you have a comment on that?
Well, my first reaction to that is that that is not germane to the issue here, that is a personal issue and certainly not important to the issue that we are discussing here.
But it has not yet been our fine-tooth comb. It was the comb of 40 lobbyists who met at 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And the decision made was to effectuate concurrence. The initial decision was not made in this chamber, and that decision was not responsive to the equitable spread of the burden of taxation.
This is one of the few times that we've had to discharge our responsibility and get on with the job of funding the state operations of government and maybe concluding our business and being out of here by May the 31st. I believe we can do it. We can do it with this move. I would like to say to you that certainly I think the House-passed bill was a much better bill, but when I look at this bill and look through it, I'm quite surprised that we did receive this good a bill from the Senate.
I thought any man would wake up and it'll all be over.
You remember the first thing you said to your husband or your husband said to you?
Yes, he asked through the intercom there in the delivery room where was his wife, was I okay? And they told me to tell him the news, and I said, well, maybe you better get him a chair. And they said, no, he'll be okay, you just tell him. And so I said, he had told me previously, said, don't you come home unless you have me 2 boys. And so I thought, well, I'll go at it this way. I said, you have your 2 boys. And I tried to be as cheerful as possible, and tears running down my eyes, though. So he said, oh, boy, good. I could hear him breathe a sigh of relief. And then I said, I've got 2 girls.
Passage of the largest tax bill in Texas history during a regular session of the legislature is an accomplishment almost unheard of, at least in the last few years. It probably can be attributed to 2 major factors. One being the leadership of both houses have been working together since the beginning of this session to pass what they consider to be a responsible tax bill, and they have held rather tight schedules on these legislators. Also, when it came time to vote on these tax bills, the legislators have heard very little from the folks at home, whether that means that the folks at home had already resigned themselves to the fact they were going to have to accept new taxes anyway, or whether that means that they have decided that it's better to go ahead and get the services that the state provides, even if they do have to pay more taxes, is a matter of conjecture. There's one other factor we have to consider, and that is the agonizing conference committee procedure was avoided here in the late weeks of the session, probably because the leadership, particularly of the House of Representatives, has been tired of this session. There's been a lot of criticism, particularly of the House leadership and some other members of the House of Representatives, because of quick profit stock deals from National Bankers Life Insurance Company stock, which is the object of a Securities and Exchange Commission stock fraud case. They may have decided that it's better to get this session over with and let everyone go home so that perhaps the criticism can subside. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move in Austin.
And by crisis, I mean the threat to our environment from water pollution, the financial problems of the cities that this amendment will help solve, and the public health problem that elimination of water pollution will solve.
This will be how much in bonds?
It'll be $100 million in bonds, and this money then will be loaned at low interest rates to municipalities, and then in addition, many millions of dollars will come from the federal government to supplement the state money. So from the local taxpayer standpoint, it results in a lower cost to the local taxpayer because we'll be able to use federal money, which is now going to other states.
I have said back in Alabama, and I say now that as governor of all the people, that I feel that a local democratic institution such as a public school, for instance, is the property of the people of Texas and of Alabama and of Dallas County and of Barber County and of Montgomery County. And I've said, and yet, when we spoke in that vein, they said we were against giving an equal opportunity to people because of race. And today, what has happened, as we predicted, the public school system is a shambles, whether it be in Dallas, Texas, or Houston, Texas, or Montgomery, Alabama. And every white and black child today has been experimented with to the extent that they are frustrated, and it's against the interest of any child, regardless of who they happen to be. And recently they had a decision that you can bus down south, but you can't bus up north.
It seems like there's a hunger march of some sort every weekend, but this one in Dallas is going to be just a little bit unique. First of all, this is a 30-mile march. This is a checkpoint about halfway along the route. Second of all, almost 5,000 high school students from the Dallas area are taking part in it, and that's a lot of kids stretched out over 30 miles. And third, there's at least one person here who's going to make it a little bit handicapped. Craig, what happened to your leg?
Oh, I broke it. I broke my foot a couple of weeks ago, about 19 days ago.
Why are you going on this march with one leg good?
Well, I saw the school, in the school I saw the film that showed Cleveland doing it, and I just decided that it was worth it to go on it, so I decided to go on it.
How many sponsors have you got, and how much are they paying you per mile?
I've got 4 sponsors, and altogether it's 29 cents a mile.
Are you going to make it the full 30 miles?
I'm going to try.
What's your doctor going to do to you when he catches you?
Kill me.
So there you have it. It's one of the things that makes this particular hunger march unique. A lot is said these days about young people becoming vocally involved, but not really doing anything about it except demonstrating. Well, this is one example of how they are helping financially against hunger in this country. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News, on the move.
Tarrant County currently has $2,200,000 in its highway right-of-way purchase fund, which could be transferred to the county's general fund. The reason is this: the state is taking over all right-of-way purchase responsibilities for highways to be funded by an additional tax on gasoline at 2 cents a gallon. In the past, each county was responsible for collecting right-of-way taxes. In Tarrant County, it has been an average of $800,000 to $900,000 collected annually in taxes and state reimbursement. Since the system was established by a vote of the people back in 1952, there may have to be another election before the current money can be returned to the county for general expenditures. It may be remedied, however, by more legislation. Tarrant County Judge Howard Green has already requested the Texas Legislative Council to come up with a recommendation. I asked Judge Green what may be done with the $2 million plus.
Back in 1952, the people of Tarrant County voted for this right-of-way tax for the future highway construction in this county. And since that will no longer be used for that purpose, I think it should be used for capital improvements, long-range improvements. You know, we went to the voters recently, last March, and asked them to approve some bond issues. They did partially, and in part we were turned down. But the need is still there.
The money could go to many areas, but renovation of the old courthouse will probably receive top priority. So if it's any consolation at all, the higher taxes you will be paying beginning July 1st may bring some money home. But don't expect any refund in your mail. Jim Green, Channel 8 News, on the move, Fort Worth.
For centuries, society tried to ignore the mentally retarded. People with deficiencies were classed as either half-witted and left to menial, simple jobs, or they were called mad and thrown into asylums that were often worse than prisons. There, they were forgotten. Today, that attitude still lingers on in some places, but at least now rehabilitation is a realistic goal. And in Dallas, it's starting with the young. The second annual Special Olympics is more than just a bunch of races and athletic events for handicapped kids. It's also a device to get the public used to the idea that these kids are an important part of Dallas and that they're no longer being ignored, that in many cases, they're being helped. The Dallas Association for Retarded Children counts the Olympic program a success, if for no other reason, because it works and people come to see it. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move, at ONB Stadium, SMU.
Charlie, last night, Jerry Haynes asked you about the round, and you began by saying fantastic putting. I would guess it was a little bit different out there today.
Well, very poor today, Vern, needless to say. I really could have shot as good, if not better, a score than I shot yesterday if I'd have putted halfway decently. But, you know, you're not going to putt good every day, and today was one of the bad ones.
I suppose that's a continuing problem for any professional golfer. You just never know when the good ones are going to go.
Well, that's true. Actually, you hope you have your bad ones on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But I've putted good the two previous days. I putted very well, and today I just never really got the real good feeling that you have to have, you know, that putting, I think, is probably a very large percentage of it is confidence, you know, feeling that you're going to knock it in when you first get up there. And I just didn't have a real good feeling today, and so consequently I didn't putt as well.
You know, the field really changed around as a result of today, and yet you're still on top despite the 72. Does that surprise you a bit?
Well, a bit. It does. I thought the course really didn't play all that hard today. I'm a little surprised that the scores weren't lower. They asked me in the press room if I thought the greens being spiked had much to do with it. I wasn't putting well, so naturally when you're not putting well, the greens don't look as good, but I figured it was just because I wasn't putting well. Maybe they were a little more spiked today, but I don't think it would have made much difference one way or the other with me.
Charlie, you had two fine rounds and a so-so round today. Does this cause you concern in terms of your confidence for the final round tomorrow?
Well, no, really, because I feel like, of course, you're going to miss a few shots in every round that you play, but basically, I feel like I hit the ball pretty well today. I topped my second shot on the 15th hole, which certainly isn't a very good shot, but for the most part, I hit the ball pretty well, and actually, I think if I were real honest about it, some of my three putts were the result of my taking the wrong club and hitting the ball well short of the hole. I underclubbed myself several times today, which I hadn't done the two previous rounds, and but I hit the ball well, and if I can just get the right club out of the bag tomorrow, maybe it'll be all right.
Well, you've got that one-stroke lead, and best of luck to you in tomorrow's final round.
Well, thank you, Vern.
I will have a press conference the first of next week, and we'll announce some major cutbacks in our state welfare program. I am thoroughly convinced that the state welfare agency is going to go along with these programs. If they fail to do so, I'll still stand by what I've said. Without welfare reform, we're not going to have an appropriation bill in Texas in '71.